Gowerton Parkway. You join me today in an absolutely boiling hot loft. It's 7:30 at night. I've been at work all day. I've come up here, I've just opened the windows, and I cannot tell you how hot it is. But hey, guess what? I'm sad. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to start working on the layout. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of the baseboards in front of us. We've got the 3 baseboards of the return loop. As you can see, these haven't been built in a particularly spectacular fashion, so they should come up quite easily. I'm looking to retain the back board that you can see the track coming out from underneath the desk from. That board will stay there. So I'm going to go through this now, get these 3 boards up, have a little look at that one at the back, put a spirit level on it, see what it looks like, measure it versus the layout at the other end, see how we're looking. The intention is to prepare the framework then, which will run the full length of the loft and join up to the other end of the layout. I'm due to take delivery of the plywood for creating the baseboards on Saturday. So the plan is, it's now Monday night, to have all the framework in place, so it's a case of being able to drop the baseboards on first thing Saturday morning, drop the plywood tops on to the baseboards first thing Saturday morning, and perhaps even get to a stage where by Saturday afternoon we're looking to start laying the fiddle yard. Ambitious probably, but let's see how we get on. I'm still a bit nervous about doing this, still wondering if it's the right thing to do. But you know what, you gotta take a risk sometimes. So here we are back in front of the baseboards. A couple of minutes later, the track is now up and lifted. As you'll see, there's still a track running across the backboard. I intend to leave that there as it will be used. If I can lean the camera over, it's not very clear, I appreciate that, but you can see the 2 lines running through that currently exist. They will be retained for future use and as part of the extension. I'm now going to get to work on taking the rest of this apart, and I will show you that when that's done. So that's the fiddle yard taken up, as you can see. Points motors are still in place. I've got to disconnect them. There's about 700 meters of wiring underneath which all needs to come out. This shouldn't be a problem when I do the next fiddle yard over the other side of the loft. I intend to have the point motors run by DCC, using some DCC concept gizmos to power those. So that's the next step. As you can see, we've got a nice wedge of track there that I can use for the fiddle yard over the other side. So here we are midway through removing these boards. Bit of a battle zone at the moment. Getting that board nice and level has been a little bit challenging, but it's more or less sorted now. So fairly happy with that. It starts to get a little bit more difficult if I go this way. As you'll see, this little bridge that I've built that goes out onto what used to be the return loop, elements of that are actually on top of this board, so it's going to be a case of deconstructing this scenic part before I can do anything else. It's now about 11 o'clock at night, so I need to pack this in and have a look at it again tomorrow, Tuesday evening, and see where we get. It's Tuesday evening and we're back in the battle zone. I decided to start ripping up bits and pieces of the hill area. So I've got rid of the side walls, got rid of the signal box, and I'm about to rip all of this out. Because of the construction that it's been made with, it's quite flimsy. It looks like the whole thing should just rip off. So with any luck, and be able to get myself a carrier bag, save a load of this bushy tree nonsense, and get this ripped up, which will allow me to remove the board that runs across there and this board here, and that should be most of the board removal complete. And depending on how I'm doing, then I'll look at perhaps removing the tracks around here and getting rid of this centre section that runs across here, and I might try and do that tonight if I get time. But yeah, this is looks like it's going to be a couple of hours work anyway, so I'll crack on with that, and hopefully it'll be at a stage where I'm ready to start putting up the framing for the new baseboards, but I'll have to go to somewhere like Wicks or whatever and grab the timber first. Okay, so I've ripped out all of the scenic area there, and you can now see basically the foundation that the track was laid across for bridging that corner over onto the fiddle yard. It was all sort of built as a bridge kind of entity to start with, and then I built up the scenery around it afterwards as a bit of an afterthought. One of the main reasons for building it the way I did and putting all wooden casing around it was because you've got that there, a loft hatch there, so a bit of a disaster if something falls off the edge. Anyway, just thought it'd be interesting for you to see how that was actually built. I'm going to take this apart now. Okay, so here we are in full-on carnage mode. The piece of the layout that I mentioned needed removing has been removed. I have now got wood everywhere. I can't tell what wood is baseboard wood, what was beams holding up the loft. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to try and get rid of some of this crud out of here, have a good tidy up, and get myself in a position where when I go and get the wood, I can start to build the baseboard frames. Okay, so we've gone from chaos to a slightly more organised chaos, although it doesn't look like it. I started preparing this end of the layout ready for removal of the middle section. The motorway bridge is over there. That's probably not going to feature in the new configuration of the layout. It may if I can adapt it, but unlikely. And I have got all the rolling stock and various bits and pieces over there. I've pulled up all the wiring underneath this part of the layout, so the layout now is effectively not wired. It's going to need rewiring, but I'll worry about that come a later date. Next thing to do is to try and get up these pieces of track here. I want to save as much of this as possible, so I will be doing this with care. And the way I'll do this, I'll probably get a knife underneath it, something like that, an old blunt knife, and gradually lift it. It's been ballasted quite carefully, so it should come up with relative ease. As you can see, this is the line where the bald edge ends, so yeah, fun and games. It is still, I'm still at the stage where I'm thinking, why the hell am I doing this? This is a hell of a lot of work, but I'm sure it'll all be fine in the end. Okay, let's get on. Okay, so now I'm in a complete state of distress. We've ripped out the middle of it, but we've got it how we need it. We can build the balls from here to here, and from there to there. I'm sure as soon as those balls go in, I'm going to feel a whole lot better about this. 11 PM on Tuesday night, and I'm pretty much wrapping up for the day now. I've got quite a bit achieved. As you've seen, the end section is now gone. Since the last clip, I've removed the hill that the motorway was on and the motorway bridge seating. That has gone. And I have cut the tracks where they need to end. And this is where they end, and they shall continue going in this direction and this direction. I've also retained the embankment that I have built leading up to the motorway bridge. The intention is to have another motorway bridge, but this motorway bridge will probably intersect directly straight across the boards there and be about so wide, giving me an extra foot or so there for the fiddle yard section. In essence, this will isolate this side of the layout to a scene. I've also sussed out what I'm going to do with the nuclear flask depot area. Obviously this had a run round before. The run round will be lost. This will just be two sidings now. So I should have this side in here. I'm going to just straighten out a bit into this gap. I've got a feed there, which will then just simply cross over onto here, and that'll be the way in. There'll be a bit more shunting involved then when you're using the nuclear fast depot, but that's fine. The main concern is I've preserved all of this concrete work that I've done and the nice roadway that I built, etc. I don't want to lose anything really that I don't have to, so that's the plan. One of the jobs I need to do is try and lift all of this ballast. This ballast is a lot thicker than I realised, so to try and get rid of that, I think we're going to have to soak it in some water, let it go tacky, and then get a scraper on it. That's not something I'm going to be doing tonight. I don't have the time for it. Over to the other side of the layout, I pretty much chopped the tracks at the point where they need to be chopped. Here, this was a slightly curved point there, that will be straightened out. These sidings here are likely to be extended, so I'll probably cut here and here. And obviously you've got the main lines that are going to run off from here, and there'll need to be a cut there. And then again, we've got the same situation with the ballast. It's really thick and it needs to get needs to be sorted out. So a general tidy up has happened. You can see down that way, hopefully. I've still got crap everywhere though, because there's not much room in the loft. I've just tried to keep the pieces of wood up here that I intend on using, and I'm going to sort out some of the stuff that's stored in the back of the rafters as well, whilst I've got easy access to it. All the track that I've liberated from previous work is now stored safely at this end of the layout on the fiddle yard section. We're looking really good, to be honest, for points. I've got tons of points that I've managed to salvage from the layout. Some of them will need a bit of cleaning up, but they're all perfectly reusable. They're in good condition. We've got a good wad of flexi track. We've got some curved pieces for running the track off of here onto the fiddle yard section. So all in all, it's looking quite positive. But yeah, it's better now. I feel a bit better about it now than I did 20 minutes ago. Sorry, about 2 hours ago, when I first took the middle section out. It was a bit daunting to see the mess that I've made, but no, I can see where we're going with this now. It's just a simple bridge that gap and bridge this gap here to here, and we're up and running again. So I'll leave this part of the update here. Probably won't be doing much tomorrow night, and we'll get back to it for Thursday, and hopefully framing will start to go in. Okay, so we're now Wednesday night. I'm actually going to be doing a bit of work tonight. Didn't think I was going to have the time to do it, but as things have panned out, I've got a bit of time up here tonight now. So tonight's objectives are going to be to try and raise this ballast, flatten this area and flatten this area, and then put in the framework for the 8x4. Sorry, 8x2. So we'll see how we get on with that, see how quickly that progresses, and I shall keep you posted throughout. Okay, so here we are, started the benches, as you can see. You'll notice I've actually got the plywood top on this. I decided just to crack on and go down to B&Q and pick this up. When creating the frame and trying to make sure everything was level and it met up with the stuff at the other end, I thought it would be much easier if I could get the plywood top on, so I just went for it and got it. So we've got one top on at the moment. The rest of the framework for the rest of the board is to go in next. So yeah, I'm just working on that at the minute, and I'll come back when I finish it, if I finish it. Okay, so it's now Thursday evening, and we've got the 2 baseboards for the scenic extension in, running all the way down to the sort of fiddle yardy type start area. Managed to get them in. They're all nice and level. I just need to put a few more screws in, and then I'm going to put a piece of battening in across the front here just to tidy it up and give a neat appearance on the front. Last night I also, if you excuse me, just walking through here, managed to start lifting the ballast here. So I've got a nice level area, or I will have when I've finished it, to continue laying the track on. Now, quick little tip here for lifting ballast that's been well glued down, as this has been very well glued down, much more well glued down than I thought it had been. If you just chuck a load of water on it and let it soak in for about 5 or 6 minutes, then get a wallpaper scraper, you can just get underneath it and scrape it all up, and it comes up nice and easily. So I've got to take that back a little bit further. I'm anticipating on taking the ballast back to here and cutting these rails here. I've just had a pair of Xuron vertical track cutters arrive with me today, and I'm hoping that that's going to make it easier for me to remove pieces of track like that whilst preserving this. So I should just be able to snip here and then just pull that out, and I'll probably put some water over here and just lift the sleepers out. So yeah, that's the plan with that. And I plan in a little while to nip to B&Q and get the rest of the wood for finishing the job. There's been a slight change of plan with the wood delivery, and yeah, we're looking good to go. Okay, so I have now lifted a hell of a lot of the junk from here. You can still see marks on the board, etc., but I will give that another going over, and I will do the same over this side now. But these are getting flat now. I think with another quick going over with some water and the wallpaper scraper, I'll get these down to a thickness that I can work with. But I am going to come out of the loft now and go and get some wood. Put simply, it is too hot in here. I'm absolutely sweating. It's quite disgusting. I probably shouldn't be up here, but you know, you do stupid things for this hobby. But there we go. I give up for a while now. I'm going to come downstairs and get some fresh air. Okay, so I've been to B&Q. I've got the remaining wood to do the fiddle yard section. I've added this nice little fascia along here. I've done some smoothing work over in the area that just came out of the TMD. I showed some shots of that in the previous clips, and it was quite thick and covered in gunk, but that's fairly smooth now. I'm going to have another go over the top of that with some more water and the wallpaper paste scraper. The other things that I've done are to prepare the tracks ready for the point at which they will spur off onto the new lines. I actually picked up a pair of Xeron vertical track cutters, which allow me to just drop them to the point on the rails that I want to cut them and just chop, and it just cuts the rails off perfectly. I rate this method much more effective than using a Dremel to do it. It's a lot more precise and it's a lot easier. I've had a couple of sets of Xeron track cutters and they've been absolutely fantastic. The last set I had broke though because I abused them by cutting things I shouldn't with them, but there we go. So as I mentioned, I picked up all the boards for the fiddle yard wood, and I have got one fiddle yard board in. So I'm hoping that the next time you see a clip, you'll see the next two fiddle yard boards in. So it's Friday night tomorrow. The plan is to get those two done, and if those get done, then Saturday morning I can hopefully jump in the car, go down to Holt Model Railways and pick myself up a couple of boxes of flexi track to get that fiddle yard in, and hopefully link the fiddle yard up to this end of the layout, and that will hopefully be done by Sunday evening, and then I can start to focus on the other side of the layout and the scenic layout. I may be tempted to put one loop of track in so I can get a train running all the way around the loft, but you know, that's the kind of thing you do. But yeah, we'll have a look and we'll see what goes on with that. I'm going to jack this in now for tonight. I haven't got enough time to build any more boards. I really can't be bothered. It's absolutely sweltering in this loft today. It's the hottest it's been by a country mile since I started this project. So what I'm going to do, as I mentioned, tomorrow evening get the last two done, and once they're done I'm going to go out and buy one hell of a big crate of beer to celebrate. Right, catch you in the next clip. Okay, so Friday night, back in the loft, still boiling, but the second board is in, and it's looking good. It's level. I've now got this gap here to fill. This gap should be exactly 4 foot wide. What are the chances of my piece of wood being the perfect fit for that gap? Probably slim, but we'll see. Nearly there now. One last push. Hopefully next clip you see, it's going to be sorted. Here we are. We have finally made it all the way around the loft. Boards from here to here, and there to there. So that's a week's work there or thereabouts. I would say I've been up here about 4 hours every evening this week. So it's taken 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 hours. I'm quite pleased with the way it's come along. Now my woodwork it's not going to win any prizes. It's not fantastic, but the one thing is, and the one thing it needs to be for a model railway baseboard, is solid and level. I'm quite comfortable that I'd be able to crawl around on this without causing any disasters, and I'm not exactly lightweight, so yeah, I'm pleased with that. Next thing I'm going to do, I've got to put a little fascia like this along the edge of this board, and then tomorrow morning it'll be off in the car to go and get some track to start laying the fiddle yard. Now I'm quite excited that my fiddle yard is now, well, I'm going to start it back here on what was the scenic area. So where I've cut away the retaining wall, the hillside, there's going to be another motorway bridge going across there, but completely remanufactured one. And then from there downwards, it is all going to be fiddle yard. So I'm going to be able to have some absolutely stonkingly long trains in there. I think I should be able to get 8 or 9 sidings, so I'm well pleased with that. Anyway, I'll come back to you once I've finished off the little fascias and had some tidying up. Got supplies, I'm calling the baseboards done. I'm probably going to leave this video here, and I will come back to you with some more content once I've got the fiddle yard laid. But as you can see, we're starting to have a little look at things and how we're going to get the track in. But yeah, thanks for watching as always, and I'll catch you in the next one.